Mohiniyattam is a dance with a very rich legacy. There are so many traditions of performing arts, performance traditions, and although we call them performance traditions, most of the time, more than the performance aspect, different traditions have highlighted different functions. It may be the ritualistic aspect, or it may be the aspect of work. For example, there are work songs, or different things, different purposes that particular performance served in society. So when we look at Mohiniyattam, we need to see it against the backdrop of this rich array of performance forms that have existed in Kerala for several centuries. So it may be the dance forms or the theatrical forms that have been recognized as classical. It may be other forms that have not got a similar recognition. So some forms like Kathakali and also to a certain extent Kudiyattam has got a lot of recognition on the stage, and especially Kathakali is a form that has got a lot of international visibility. So similarly, when we look at the feminine performance traditions, Mohiniyattam is one such form that has received the classical status, the recognition from the government, and has also got a lot of international visibility because it has been able to recast itself as a dance that can be performed in the proscenium stage theatre. So when we look at the legacy, the history of Mohiniyattam, it goes down several centuries, but we don't really know whether it existed in the form that we see today. It's very difficult to draw these very direct links because there is no unbroken continuity when we look at it, and the fact that there's been very little documentation also complicates the situation further. But there is evidence that there were dancers in temples, and in some of the temples, maybe not to the extent that it existed in the other regions. But then again, there are controversies about whether these women who were dedicated to temples actually danced. And a recent work by Justin Limos, for instance, in the archival research that she has done, she suggests that at least in the 19th century, the women who were in the temples, they did not dance. So we cannot take that as a starting point. But then we don't know if the practice existed earlier, in the earlier times in society, in the society of Kerala. But there are many of the temples in Kerala have Kootambalams, which are the places for performance. And we know that there were other theatrical traditions like Kudiyattam and Nangiyar Kuttu, which goes down several centuries and which were performed in these Kootambalams by certain communities. So when we see Mohiniyattam as a dance that exists today, and that is one that is predominantly performed by women, though recently a lot of male dancers have also started performing Mohiniyattam, which I think is a very, very positive thing for the dance itself. It shows how the dance moves beyond some of these very conventional ideas of gender. So the form of Mohiniyattam has travelled a lot, and when we look at more recent history, the court of Maharaja Swati Tirunal was a very significant space where the dance was revived, was formulated and codified and given a certain format or presentation. And at that time, in the court of Swati Tirunal, there were musicians, there were Nattuvan's dance masters, and dancers from other places like Tanjavur and also Andhra. So it is but natural that there was a lot of mutual influencing between uh, these artists, right? It was never a closed space, and Maharaja himself composed in so many different languages: Telugu, Hindustani, Sanskrit, Malayalam. It is quite, that's something to really think about, because that shows the kind of openness that existed even at that time. And this kind of syncretism probably led to the creation of the form of Mohiniyattam, and it led to the the innumerable number of kritis that were penned to be danced in Mohiniyattam. After the court of Swati Tirunal, another significant time when the dance was given the shape that it has today is at the Kerala Kalamandalam. So here, this is against the backdrop of nationalism, where so much was being done to create our own Indian, a unique Indian cultural identity. So that consciousness was very, very strong in that particular climate. And in 1930s, the Kerala Kalamandalam was established, and primarily to revive Kathakali as a dance form. And then Mahakavi Vallathol also started looking for Mohiniyattam dancers, and he had a very tough time finding them. And there were breaks in between, when for some time there were teachers, and then there was no teacher for a while, and so on. And Mahakavi Vallathol also found it very difficult to find students for the dance form of Mohiniyattam, because there was so much that has happened with colonization and with the kind of influence that brought in, the British morality that could not understand a systems that were not monogamous. So in that sense, the Devdasi system also came to be associated with other marriage practices that existed in Kerala, and all in all, Mohiniyattam came to be a dance that got associated with moral depravity, and it was subjected to a lot of stigmatization. And against this backdrop, when Mahakavi Vallathol wanted to revive the dance, he found some teachers, and with a lot of difficulty he could convince a few girls from good families to take up the dance. And one such student was Kalamandalam Kalyani Kuttiyamma, who developed the dance, who worked on the technique of the dance, because what she had learned from the earlier teachers was very, very rudimentary and very scarce, which was definitely not enough to build into a complete technique and with its own repertoire. So Kalamandalam Kalyani Kuttiyamma, now she's known as the mother of Mohiniyattam, she really developed the dance, and she came up with a basic movement vocabulary, and she also came up with several compositions of her own, and that was the start of the revival. And from then there has been no looking back. Even at the Kerala Kalamandalam, Chinnammu Amma's disciples like Kalamandalam Satyabama, they also came up with a slightly distinct style of Mohiniyattam, and even outside Kerala several schools were set up. In this particular presentation, I am trying to look at my own repertoire, consisting of items that I have learned from my gurus, and also some which I have composed on my own through a slightly different way. I'm going to use the waves, the wind and the earth as a metaphor for the movement vocabulary and as a thematic element that appears in distinct compositions. Mohiniyattam is a dance that is defined by the circularity of its movements, the continuity and the flow. So one movement never ends abruptly or briskly. Rather, it flows into the next. So this idea of flow, of fluidity, the sway and the swing is very, very typical of the movement vocabulary of Mohiniyattam. And that is why I use the metaphor or the motif of the waves to define the movement quality of Mohiniyattam. Now, we all know waves are created in water because of the interplay between the winds and the waves and the water. So just as the waves move continuously and it moves in a circular way, similarly the body movement in Mohiniyattam, the torso movements are very much like the waves. I will demonstrate this through some of the basic movement techniques that are done in Mohiniyattam from some of the churipas that I have learned from my gurus. The wave-like and the swing-like movement. One of the founding figures of Mohiniyattam, that is Kalamandalam Kalyani Kuttiyamma, she mentions that the movement in Mohiniyattam is like the gentle sway of the paddy fields in the breeze. So that is a metaphor that has stayed with me in my mind, because just as those plants are very much rooted, connected in earth, but at the same time the upper halves sway freely in the breeze. Similarly, in Mohiniyattam too, we have this deep seated position which is very stable, which gives a lot of stability. But at the same time, the upper half of the body, the torso upwards, the core is quite fluid in its movement. And I like to follow some styles of Mohiniyattam which give more scope for fluidity in movement. So I will demonstrate some of this through the basic movement vocabulary in Mohiniyattam. In this performance, I'm going to explore three elements: the waves, the winds, and the earth. I'm going to revisit some of the compositions that I have learned traditionally, and I'm going to try to look at it in a slightly different way. So I begin with the Ganapati, which is in Arabic and has been written by Kavalam Narayana Panikar, who introduced Sopana music, the kind of music that is performed in the temples in Kerala, in Mohiniyattam in a very big way. And in this particular composition, it is about Ganapati. He has penned some very beautiful lines which vividly describe the idol of Ganapati, which is placed in a grove. And I'm going to present that. And I say that this is about the earth because we all know that Lord Ganesha is very much connected to the earth. He is shaped out of his mother Parvati's body solely. And in that sense, he represents the attachment to the mother, and a phase in a child, in an individual's life, when the child is very much attached to the mother. So Ganesha being attached to his mother and also being shaped solely out of her body, I feel is very much about the earth. And also the fact that we all make clay idols of Ganesha which are later dissolved. So this composition has a description of the idol of Ganesha, and it's a description that slowly builds up to a crescendo. Because the way Kavalam Narayana Panikkar has written it, he says that there is a grove there, and in the midst of the grove there is a kalpaka tree, and under the tree I see something. And what is that? What does he see? He sees a golden floor, and on the floor are colorful, attractive designs made. On those designs he sees something, and what is that? He sees a golden pedestal which is decorated with bells, and on top of the pedestal he sees silk cloth which has been put over it, and on top of that is white rice which is scattered and which shines, and again on top of that is the golden mouse, and on top of that mouse is seated the Lord Ganesha. So I'm going to present this, not the entirety, but a major part of this in the beginning part of my performance.
गजाननं गणपतिं गुणाननं आलयं परं तं वन्दे अपराजितम् तकुकुत कुकुत ककीतं பார் தெருவளப்பில் நடுவினல்லோ கல்பகமரம் மரத்தின் கீழிலல்லோ பொன்னும் மடித்தர மணித்தர மேலல்லோ ஸ்ரீ சித்திரபீடம் சித்திரபீடத்தின் பேரிலல்லோ பொன்னு மணிப்பலக மணிப்பலகமே மடக்கினுடைய உடையாட மேலிலல்லோ மீனும் வெளுத்தரி வெளுத்தரியில் மேலிலல்லோ பொன்னும் கால மூஷிகள் கால மூஷிகள் மேலேறி விளையாடும் ஸ்ரீ மகாகணபதியே கால மூஷிகள் மேலேறி விளையாடும் ஸ்ரீ மகாகணபதியே கணபதி தங்கி தங்கி கிட்டத்தகதி கூத்தா தி ஓ தா த கூக்கு தக்கு தக்க தக்க தரு கணபதி தங்கி தங்கி கிட்டத்தகதி கூத்தா தி ஓ தா கிழித்தக்க 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 கிழித்தக்கும் தீக்கும் தக்கும் தீக்கும் தக்கும் ஜே தக்கும் தீக்கும் தக்கும் தீக்கும் தக்கும் ஜே ஜே தக்கும் தீக்கும் தக்கும் தீக்கும் தக்கும் தீக்கும் ஜே தக்கும் தீக்கும் தக்கும் தீக்கும்
present a small segment from a pure dance item called the Jatiswaram. This particular Jatiswaram is in Bahudari Ragam and written by Kanakamani Vijendra. The choreography is by Guru Gopika Verma. So these two segments that I present have movements, Nritta movements that have this undulating aspect which I was talking about in Mohiniyattam. From the sacred grove where the idol of Ganapati was placed, the next composition will describe the place of Sri Kumaranadi, the temple, through the Kshetra Kriti of Swati Tirunal, Sri Kumara Nagaralaya. So here here again is a kriti which is devoted to the place, and therein I find that connection with earth. Again, Devi as Bhumi Devi, and in this particular case as Bhagavati, has a very strong association with the earth. In the final stanza of this particular composition, Devi is described as having the majestic gait of an elephant. So this is another very characteristic aspect of the movement in Mohiniyattam. And this composition, along with the one that I previously performed, that is the Ganapati and the Jatiswaram, are all choreographies of Guru Gopika Verma. The musical rendering is by Sri Arun Gopinath. I next present the Kshetra Kriti Sri Kumara Nagaradike. From earth to the element of wind. Now I look at the element of wind as it occurs thematically and also in the movement vocabulary. For one particular composition, Lalita Lavanga Lata, which is taken from Jayadeva's Gita Govinda. This choreography is by Guru Gopika Verma. So in the first stanza, nature is described, and the clove creepers that sway in the wind has been described in the first stanza. The wind is the Malaya wind, the wind that blows along the mountains, and these creepers, they dance, they sway gently in the breeze. So I remember during when our teacher was teaching us this particular composition, she insisted on that lightness of movement, the way a creeper moves in the breeze. She kept on insisting on feeling that lightness of the wind in our movement. And I will be presenting that particular segment from this choreography, and the music is by Sudev Warrier.
Tam tadi kita diti taka taka tam dimi dimi tam tam tadi kita diti taka taka tam dimi dimi tam tam tadi kita diti taka taka tam dimi dimi tam tam tadi kita diti taka taka tam dimi dimi tam tam tadi kita diti taka taka tam dimi dimi tam tam tadi kita diti taka taka tam dimi dimi tam tam tadi kita diti taka taka tam dimi dimi tam tam tadi kita diti taka taka tam dimi dimi tam tam tadi kita diti कोच कुटीरे मधुकर निकर करंकित कोटिर पूजित कोच कुटीरे मधुकर निकर करंकित कोटिर पूजित कोच कुटीरे विहरति हरिरिह सहस वसन्ते नृत्यति युवती जनेन समं सखी विरकी जनस्य
From wind to water, which I am going to explore through a couple of choreographies. So, water is a powerful element, and it is, I think, the most important element when it comes to the dance form of Mohiniyattam, because it is grounded, it is centered, and all the movements are integrated. The movements between the different parts of the body, whether it is the head, the eye movement, the torso movement, the feet, and the wrist movement, the arms. So despite that centeredness, there is this fluidity, there is this constant change and sway, and similar to the way water works. So in this particular first composition that I am going to be presenting, Pibare Ramarasam by Sadashiva Brahmendra, thematically I am looking at the element of water, and again there is also earth coming in, because water is a powerful thing. Although it is formless, it assumes the form of whatever holds it. But despite that, it has a lot of power. As a friend pointed out to me, it is used by sages to curse people. So in this particular composition, Guru Shemavati has choreographed it to show the particular Sanchari of Ahalya being cursed by her husband, Lord Gautama, for infidelity. So, and when she gets cursed, she is transformed into a stone, which is basically earth. So it is almost as if she is buried alive in the earth for her sin, and it is only upon the touch of the feet of Lord Rama that she is released from that live sort of imprisonment.
दूरीकृत पातक संसर्ग पूरिदनानावित बलवर्गम् दूरीकृत पातक संसर्गम् 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 पूरिदनानावित बलवर्गम्
Water is not just in the form of rivers and oceans, but it's also in the form of rain. And I present this through a part of a larger piece that I have worked on recently, taking verses from Kalidasa's Nrityam, which shows the pageant of the 6 seasons. So this particular portion that I'm going to present is from the section on Varsha Ritu. So these lines taken from the text, they describe the clouds which appear to be seated on top of an elephant, and it comes grandly, like a mighty king. So the monsoon arrives with a lot of grandeur, very grandly, and that is described here in the first line. And again, the flow of the rivers, the rain, the dance of the peacocks, the elephants that go wild, playing in the water, and the whole forest, which becomes so fresh and clean because of the water, because of the rains. It appears to be shining. So these are the few lines that I am going to present from the section on Varsha Ritu, taken from Ritu Samhara.
शशिकराम्भोधरमत्तकुञ्जर शशिकराम्भोधरमत्तकुञ्जर तडितदाको शनिशब्दमद्दलः वर्षन्ति नदन्ति भान्ति जायन्ति नृत्यन्ति समाश्रयन्ति नत्यः घनाः मतगजाः वनतां प्रियविहीनाः शिखिनः प्लवङ्गाः
The music for the piece that I just performed was composed by N.C. Parthasarathy and Ramana, the flutist. The last composition that I'll be exploring, the element of water and the element of flow, is the Yamunashtagam. The Yamunashtagam is a poem on the river Yamuna written by Sri Vallabhacharya. And here I have selected some of the lines, some of the stanzas from Yamunashtagam which describe the river Yamuna, which describe its closeness with Lord Krishna. And the forests, the new forests that appear on the banks of river Yamuna are redolent with the smell of the freshly bloomed flowers, and the flow of the river Yamuna that comes from on top of the Kalindi mountain, and it comes down below, and it is at the same time strong and rigorous and graceful. And Vallabhacharya goes on to comment to describe the formation of the river Yamuna, which for me was very interesting, because the river Yamuna is, he says, is formed out of the beads of sweat that drips from the blue-bodied Lord Krishna during the Rasa Leela. But I'm not getting into that segment right now. I'm just going to present the initial part of this piece, which describes the flow of the river, the playful gait of the river as it moves down the Kalindi mountain.
यमुनामहम् तटस्थनव कानन प्रकटमूढ तटस्थनव प्रकटमूढ सुरासुर सुपूजिता स्मरपितुः श्रियं बिभ्रति सुरासुर सुपूजिता स्मरपितुः श्रियं बिभ्रति नमामि यमुनामहम् सकल सिद्धिं हेतुं नमामि कलिन्दगिरि मस्तके पटतमण्ड पुरोज्ज्वल कलिन्दगिरि मस्तके पटतमण्ड पुरोज्ज्वल लीलास गमनोलस प्रकट गण्ड सैरोरता
Most of the time when we perform outside Kerala as Mohiniyattam dances, we are told to choose pieces that are not in Malayalam because the audience will not be able to understand. But this one, I have chosen a piece that is in Malayalam because I found this to be very interesting and very challenging to do. So here the situation is such that the Nayika has sent her Sakhi to Lord Padmanabha to convey to him what her plight is and also to find out why he hasn't come. But here the Sakhi becomes very smart. She goes to Lord Padmanabha and she has a fling with him. And she comes back with telltale signs of lovemaking on her. And the Nayika is not naive. She understands what has happened. And the whole Padam proceeds like an interrogation and a defense between the Nayika and the Sakhi. So the Nayika says, what happened? Your face looks so forlorn. The Sakhi says the sun is so harsh that it completely sapped me of all energy. The Nayika says your eyes are so beautiful like a deer, but now it has become red. The Sakhi says, your lord was so angry, he said such cruel words to me. I couldn't bear it. I cried and my eyes became red. And so on it proceeds. Says your hair is in a disarray. The Sakhi says it is because of the wind. He says, the Nayika says your sinduram has got wiped out. The Sakhi says that's because of this veil that covers my face. It kept hitting my face and it got wiped out. And so on it goes. The dialogue goes. At the end, the Nayika says, see, enough of this. I know every word that you said is a lie. There's not an iota of truth in what you spoke today. Now you listen to what I have to say. You went to Lord Padmanabha and you had a good time with him and you have come back. That is the truth. And the Padam ends with a change in the Raga and it ends on a very sad note. the second part of Tillana in Vrindavani Ragam. This Tillana has its Sahityam in Telugu. So for being patient with my Malayalam Padam, I chose to perform this Tillana at the end. This Tillana has been written by Balamurli Krishna and it is sung by Sudev Varya, a disciple of Balamurli Krishna. I find myself fortunate to be able to perform to the songs that have been sung by Sudev Varya because he's such a wonderful singer and you will realize that when you listen to this piece.
Nrityam
Apart from the practitioners in Kerala, Mohiniyattam was also taken up in a very big way by dancers outside the state like Kanak Rele and Bharti Shivaji, who conducted a lot of research, who travelled through Kerala, met several practitioners and evolved their own styles of Mohiniyattam. So, as it exists today, there are at least 4 different styles of Mohiniyattam, and I like to think of them as 4, distinct interpretive communities of the dance. So, the dance has both the secular element and the sacred dimension. And one very prominent aspect of Mohiniyattam is its pace, what is generally called as the unhurried pace of the dance. Many people who see it, from a very superficial point of view, think of it as very, very boring because it's too slow. But it's a form that is very much introverted. So rather than what is shown, what gets manifested, a lot happens within, a lot happens inside. And I think that is a very, very defining characteristic of this particular dance form. Its meditative quality, and this happens because of the circularity of the movements, the low position. Because when you are in a low position, you cease to be in that normal human state. You are in an altered position, and that repetitive performance of circular movements, the circularity itself helps you to enter into slightly altered states. So you find parallels. So this circularity of movements helps to induce certain altered states, and similarly the slow pace, the temporal dimension also helps you to enter into a different ordering of time, because when we are living our normal lives, we are always driven by time. We have our schedules to follow. In so much time you have to do this, by this time breakfast should be done, and this job should be done, and your lives are driven by all kinds of deadlines, and especially in an urban way of life, we are so time bound that we become very automatic. Our own perception of time becomes very automatic. So dances like Mohiniyattam helps your body to be ordered in a different temporal dimension. So that itself breaks from what is mundane, what is everyday, I think. So this particular presentation has been exploratory, and I have attempted to look at the elements of wind, water and earth, both as a metaphor of the movement vocabulary in Mohiniyattam, and also as a thematic element that occurs in several compositions. A lot has been done on the dance, and I also continue my own endeavors in learning the dance and in attempting new things, and I acknowledge the knowledge, the experience that my gurus have given me in teaching me the dance. And one final word I would like to say is to thank Samanvay for organizing this and for giving me this platform to think about my dance, my work in a new way. Thank you.